up, everybody? I am your host, Michelle Lawrence, and you are watching Black Tea, an interview series featuring and all about Black women in advertising, presented by Muse by Clio. I'm so excited today to be here with Brandi Rand. Hi, Brandi.
Hello, hello. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, of course. It's great meeting you. Please tell the world what you do and where you're based.
So I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, by way of Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm Associate Director of Social Media at Burrell Communications, which is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary. It's the longest running Black ad agency in the United States. So I lead social media there, specifically for the Black demographic, or what we refer to as AA, for my client Toyota. Been there about 3 years now.
Okay, shout out to Burrell. They are definitely a staple for the culture in this industry and have been for a long time. So that's dope. Happy anniversary, y'all. How did you find your way into advertising?
Oh, good question. So like I mentioned, I'm from Kansas City, and I had my own social media agency back home in Kansas City. I was doing social media for small businesses, real estate agents, nonprofits. And then my husband and I, well, then boyfriend, decided that we wanted to move to from Kansas City to Dallas. And it was strictly a move for the weather, nothing else.
Right.
The winter before we moved, like we shoveled the driveway like every 3 days, sleet, hail, ice. So we were like, we're out. So we moved south down here to Dallas, and I was attempting to continue the, knocking doors, eating what I kill, having my own agency. And it was going okay, but most people were asking like, what agency are you with? So I was like, okay, well, I guess agencies are a big thing here in Dallas, which back home in Kansas City at the time, they weren't. So I went and got with the biggest social media agency here in Dallas. And then it's just been history ever since. I've been at a social media agency, a traditional PR agency, a sports marketing agency, general market agency, and now multicultural.
Girl, this is a resume. First of all, I love that it starts with entrepreneurship and then explores from there, which is so dope. I feel like most people feel like they have to gear themselves up and grind for 20 years before they can have their own business. So it's so cool to hear that you kind of started out the gate that way and then kind of found your way into a larger organization. So that's really cool.
Thank you. Thanks.
So what advice would you give to your pre-advertising self now that you've got some time in?
Pre-advertising self, not now that I've got some time in, is just to understand that there's a lot of different types of agencies. I was like very naive to that. And I think a lot of people, so I do a lot of training and work with people in high school and people in college looking to get into advertising. And a lot of questions are like, what is the different types of ad agencies out there? Like, should I be at a traditional, what we call general market agency? Should I go multicultural? Is there any multicultural agencies in my backyard? So that's another thing too. Here where I am in Dallas, there's only a handful of agencies.
Right.
You'll find a lot more opportunity on the coast, right? Obviously your LA, your New York, even your Atlanta and Chicago have way more opportunities than what we might find here in Dallas and even back home where I'm from in Kansas City. So I think that perspective and just like studying and researching it more where I ultimately want to be would be my advice to my younger ad self.
You know what is so fantastic is that you are going back into the communities and talking to students because that is so, I never heard about advertising just even as an option as a creative youth. So I kind of went, into a different career. I was an art teacher for a while, and then I got into this because I hadn't heard of it. I had no idea that there was something I could do, first of all, with my art to make money besides, try to sell my paintings and teach. That's like a lot of people just don't even know that there's options out there beyond that. So that's really cool that you're getting it on the ground floor, especially from a social media perspective, because these kids are out there on social media, but they, a lot of them may not know that they can work and make a career out of it. So that's really cool.
Yes, it's certainly a career. Brands are doing it more. They're bringing it in-house. A lot of agencies are being created specifically as digital marketing agencies. That's something else that's really cool and happening lately over the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years. It's been a lot of digital market agencies or social media agencies popping up just to hone in on that particular capability, because a lot of the older agencies, the traditional agencies, they just don't have that capability, and every single brand and client needs it right now.
Mm-hmm. So you've already accomplished so much. I'm wondering if you have any career ambitions that you haven't yet achieved. Like, what's next? What do you want to be doing?
Career ambitions. Yeah, I think, it's smart to always have something, a North Star, right, to shoot for. If I was to identify a main one, it maybe would be, I think, getting back into my own agency, right? Pivoting back into the entrepreneur world, where I am the leader of maybe a social or digital agency.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that, as everybody kind of like maps out like what their career path and their journey should be, something to take into consideration is, it's not a big deal if you go back and forth from entrepreneurship to agency world, because you should always be going back in to get something, to build your arsenal, right? To build your toolkit a little bit more. So all of the pitches that you do, all of the presentations that you have to create, all of the collaboration across departments, like with the creative, with the media teams, all of that is just going to hone your skills for bigger and better in your next. So that's definitely something that I hope people take away from this conversation, is just to keep building your arsenal. No matter where you go, take something from that opportunity.
Awesome. How would you compare your experiences? You've had experiences at general market agencies, and you had experience at multicultural agencies with focus on AA. So how would you compare that? What would you say are the main differences? Any pros and cons?
Okay, so I know we've got a limited amount of time, but there's a lot. It took me, unfortunately, going to a multicultural agency, and this is just, this is the black tea, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
let's get tea.
Let's
Okay,
go.
here's my momming cup. I got a lot of tea.
It's huge.
It's huge, right? This is necessary.
There's so much tea.
Yes, sip the tea. So general market, I'd be honest with you, is the first place I was able to bring my full self to work.
Wow.
I mean, not general market, multicultural.
Okay, yes, that makes sense.
Yes. So yeah, I'm sorry. Multicultural was the first time I was able to like show up and really feel like my experiences, my perspective, and just how I see people reacting to the content and the messaging that we put out as advertisers, I was able to impact that. General market, a lot of these agencies have the initiative right now to bring us to the table, right? You see a lot of these DEI hires happening. You see a lot of these statement pieces happening about how they're going to increase diversity numbers at their agencies. But really, we haven't seen a lot of follow through outside of the DEI roles, and that's unfortunate. And so if I was to weigh the biggest pro and con, or the biggest nuance difference from general market to multiculturals, I was able to bring my full self to work. I didn't have to look around and know that I was the only one there. I was able to see people who look like me in every position, right? From intern all the way up to chief creative officer, co-CEO. Like, I have that experience now. And that's something that I know for sure, based on my LinkedIn inbox, that a lot of people of color, specifically Black people in advertising, don't get a chance to see. And it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And just having also had that experience of starting out in general market agencies and going to multicultural, I would add to that, in addition to just the representation, I felt like that the focus was on my work more so at multicultural shops, where there was diversity, because there wasn't sort of the lens of people looking at it through my attitude or through my, facial expressions, or through, you know what I mean? I didn't have to deal with
your tone.
Right, exactly. I didn't have to deal with the layers of people, that of bias, and that getting in the way of, me bringing, like you said, bringing my full self to work, but also just my work being seen and being the focus. So I definitely feel like, showing up in a multicultural space was where I got my confidence in my abilities, because the focus was on my abilities, the work, and that's where the feedback was. So that's so key. It's interesting that it is still that way. but it's also, it's kind of like the argument of, when you're talking about HBCUs versus other, uh, um, universities. I was like, why couldn't I find that word? Other universities versus HBCUs. It's like, there's going to be a different experience. And, there's kind of a value, at least for me, a value to both experiences. It's definitely going to be interesting if I ever do find myself in a place that is mostly white again. And I'm wondering, how I will react to that and feel. But hopefully, the diversity of the industry will grow to the point where nobody has to be the only one.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to like map out a pipeline for Black people in advertising, unfortunately, I would say to, go for sure if you can get that multicultural agency experience. It just, like you said, build your confidence, it empowers you, it validates, that you're good enough, your work is amazing. And then you can bring all of those learnings to general market. And I think that is where really a lot of general market agencies could improve on, is just being diverse in where you see people from, right? It doesn't have to be from the other big shop down the street. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from the well-known multicultural agency. I mean, we're finding success with like tapping into content creators and creatives who don't have any advertising experience. But if you look at their portfolio, it rivals those who are winning these awards, these major awards. So it's not just diversifying ethnicities, it's also diversifying experiences too, that a lot of general market agencies need to do.
Spot on, 100% agree. So we're kind of talking a lot about diversity. It's one of many challenges facing our industry right now. Is there any particular industry issue that you could solve if you that you would solve if you could, and how would you tackle it?
Ooh, industry issue that I would solve if I could, besides diversity, would be it's so problematic right now. Diversity is so problematic. I think, okay, let's shift from the internal maybe to the output, right? I would solve the output of appropriate and equitable messages of how not just Black people, but all people of color and different type of backgrounds see themselves in messaging that we put out. We have a huge responsibility as marketers and advertisers to tell stories, right? And that's whether it's, through commercials, through leveraging influencers for our brand. We are constantly telling stories, and it shouldn't be the fact that we go from not seeing any Black people or people of color in advertising to now seeing interracial relationships. We just kind of completely skip past the Black family unit, right? The Latino family unit or Hispanic family unit, the Asian family unit, like it's just went full to the other end of the spectrum. And I know with a lot of the work that I do with my client Toyota, we're really focused on, telling that story. We show, all different types of hair textures, we show all different hues of Blackness, but we are very particular and not shifting to, having the white guy with the Black woman or the Black guy with the white woman. Like, we are making sure that we are representative of what people want to see, right? And it's not even a guessing game. We know, with the feedback of the ads that are out, the movies that are out, the television shows, how we just haven't, as an industry, gotten really good with telling the stories that really represent us in our fullness. And so that's one thing that I would change, is the end result, the deliverables, the output of diverse stories.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's nothing against interracial relationships, but it's
no, not at all.
To show, that you don't necessarily have to include a white person in order to make it palatable to an audience. Or, what are we doing in terms of how trying to jam pack, every commercial, every opportunity with as many different races as we can find. So instead of focusing on like, who are we talking to? And it really just is basic. you know, kind of audience, you know, audience research, you know, who are you trying to talk to, and, you know, tell those stories authentically from an authentic place. I think that is, that's really cool. So, okay, are there any, while we're on the subject, any really kind of like Black owned or just super Black products that are giving you life right now?
Yeah, so my favorite is Black Girl Sunscreen. And so I was on Black Girl Sunscreen long before they made it to Target. And
I've never heard of this.
oh, wait, it's a gorgeous black bottle. It's called Black Girl Sunscreen. And you can find it, follow their Instagram handle. You can find it at Target now.
Wow.
Sis made it to Target. It's amazing. Yeah. So that is just what I swear by it. I've been using it on me and my kids, I think for the last three years solid. They make a sunscreen so it mattifies. You don't, you know, we don't look greasy. And, you know,
Yeah.
So Black people, here's a PSA. We need to wear sunscreen every day. I don't know if our dermatologists or, you know, people are going to the dermatologist, but we do, you know, the Black don't crack for a reason. So we have to wear our sunscreen, but Black Girl Sunscreen, I adore. And they have a kids line too. So I put it on my babies when they go out and play in the sun. What else?
That mattifying,
I just buy,
I feel like sunscreen, I always look like I put Vaseline all over my face. No matter what I put on afterward, it's just
you got that opaque, you know, alabaster like overlay.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. Organic hair grow is what I use to like, I did a big chop 2 years ago, and now, you know, we're hitting bra strap length. So Organic Grow is my hair care. There's so many right now. And I just think that, you know, we need to make a concerted effort to, you know, support these Black owned brands. We really do. I mean, I've got some books up here from some Black girls. I've got Arlen's book, It's About Time, venture capitalist. I'm actually an investor in her company.
Oh, nice.
You know, we just gotta, you know, do all the things. We just gotta support and, you know, buy and be Black. But those are my two: Black Girl Sunscreen and Organic Grow hair.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any sheroes that you're looking up to right now, inside of advertising or out?
Oh, inside of advertising, sheroes. I'm just loving everybody just using their platform. So I'm all for the Black girl in advertising that is not well known. We know the movers and shakers. We know the game changers, those who are in ad week, those who are in ad age, those who are, you know, making their moves to different companies at CMO levels. But I'm all for the Black girl that is new in the industry, owning her power and her voice. That's who I'm looking to amplify. Also, I'm looking to amplify Black influencers. Like, you know, in my role, I have the awesome responsibility and privilege, which is why I love my role, to tap into Black creators, Black influencers, and Black culture 100% of the time. And so it's just amazing to see these new creators coming to the table, these new influencers. So I'm just all about people really using their platforms to amplify their own personal message, whatever that may be, right? In advertising or not. If you are a fit mom, if you are a vegan foodie, like whatever it is, we just have to be empowered now to tell our stories. Social media, and why I love it, is it's an equal playing field. No longer do we need that. I mean, press helps, but we don't need to be on the news, and we don't need to be on TV to get our points and our messages across. So that's really what I'm loving right now, is all the Black creativity out here. You know, we need more.
That's what Black Tea is all about, and especially why we focus on people up and down the experience ladder with who we feature, because, you know, the CMOs are out here getting their moments, but also oftentimes you don't hear from the Black women that are in there on the ground making it happen. And so I feel like those experiences are equally valuable, and everybody needs to hear those stories for sure. So that's amazing. I'm all the way down. I want to give you an opportunity to sort of brag on yourself a little bit. We don't do it enough. Let's talk about a piece of creative work that you're really proud of, and why.
So so there's two. At my general market agency or sports marketing agency, I put together the first influencer program with AT&T and the Dallas Cowboys. It was a 14 influencer activation to help tell the story of the technology that AT&T put in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. That was all the way back in 2016, and I was the first to create that influencer case study at the marketing arm here in Dallas. But most recently, I'd say it's the Black is Human for Jason campaign.
Mhm.
And that one came to light by my chief creative officer, Lewis Williams at Burrell, who had the idea that we needed to really amplify what's happening for the Black community as it relates to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. So we launched this campaign about 10 months ago. I think 2 months into the pandemic. Unfortunately, there was a young man named Jason Hargrove who was a bus driver, and he put out a message on his personal social media that people just need to be more responsible and start wearing masks and just really take this thing seriously. And unfortunately, a few short days later, after he made that PSA on his own personal social handle, he passed away due to coronavirus. And so
I remember hearing about him.
yeah, we leveraged his story with permission from his wife and with her grace to use him as a face, like put a face to coronavirus. So we got some of our media partners behind it. They ran the ad. We did some radio spots just to help tell that story. And it's bittersweet. We did win some awards for that storytelling. We won a silver and a bronze telly for social impact video and awareness video. But I think the most important thing about that is just we got into action quickly. And this wasn't about, selling cars or, any of the other clients. It was about the Black experience and how we could amplify what's going on and create awareness. So that's my campaign that I'm most proud of to date.
That's amazing. And shout out to the family and the families that of people that we've lost. It's gone on way too long, and we've lost way too many. And it's great to be able to tell that story, the stories of those who are lost, and especially someone who is speaking out not only on behalf of himself, but of other people that are in those situations.
Yeah, all of the essential workers.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's been so beautiful to talk to you. I gotta say, your career is so inspiring in the social media space. I love that you're continuing to bring new faces into it and to really invest your time and energy into making sure that people who look like you know that this is an option for them, which is so beautiful. And I just want to say I can't wait for you to have your own spot again. So definitely keep in touch. Let us know when you do that. And we want to be championing you here. So thank you so much.
Before we leave, platforms like this are amazing, and I definitely need to turn it back to you. I just recently discovered Black tea, so I'm going to be sharing it and amplifying it because I think that it is critical, not just for Black people in advertising, but for advertising in general. They need to see us, hear us, and know that we're here. And I honor you and thank you for creating this space. It's so important.
Thank you. It's people like you who make it possible, but thank you so much. You guys heard it here first. That's our episode. Please go and continue to follow more of these conversations at musebycleo.com/Black tea. Not just the people you know, not just the people that are CMO, but come and check out the stories that we have up and down the spectrums from all departments. We can't wait to catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.